First, I'd like to welcome to the stage Eric, the founder of Jammy. Let's give it up.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Eric, the founder of Jammy. As you've probably picked up, we're a music-fueled social connection coach. So a little bit about me. I'm a lifelong musician and mindfulness practitioner that failed forward into tech. I'm very lucky that I landed at a company called Amy Street that sold dynamically priced digital downloads back in 2007. And when streaming came along, we decided, let's ride that wave instead. And we sold Amy Street to Amazon and developed a music streaming service called Songza. And a few years later, we sold that platform to Google. And then I worked at Google for about 8.5 years doing marketing, first on Songza's next step, which was Google Play Music, and then Google Play Music became YouTube Music. And then I made the masochistic move to Android, where I then tried selling phones to Gen Zers who didn't want to buy them. And after about 5 years of doing that, I decided to leave Google and see how I could uniquely solve for Gen Z based on all the insights and knowledge that I had gained. And when I started interviewing Gen Zers, what really kind of struck me and resonated with me personally was their struggles with feelings of loneliness. And if you know much about this problem, Gen Z feels way lonelier than other generations. And furthermore, it's a $400 billion problem that's really crushing our economy. So because kind of the current solutions aren't really meeting Gen Z's needs with regards to overcoming those feelings that they need to get social connection, meaningful, authentic relationships, we've developed this app that I'll show you right now. So, I don't know how well you can see this, but if you're up close, you can see. This is Jammy. As you can see, it says, let's find your vibe. And you can choose from a bunch of options based on how you're feeling. So maybe I want to turn down my stress and anxiety right now. And so you can see it's thinking.
Hello, how may I support you in addressing the feelings of anxiety, stress, and overwhelm that you are experiencing today?
I am giving a presentation to like 100 people, and I'm pretty nervous right now.
It's natural to be nervous before a big presentation. What specifically about the presentation is causing you the most anxiety?
Well, it's very quiet in here, and I'm not really sure that this is landing very well.
It's understandable to feel uncertain during a presentation. How do you typically handle moments of self-doubt or uncertainty in other situations?
Well, maybe I'll take a deep breath, maybe just remind myself that I've done a lot of work to get here, I know what I'm talking about, I've got a lot of great past experience, maybe something like that. Hold on. Oops. Sorry, it timed out for a second. Okay, I'm going to fast forward. So at the end of the session, it will summarize what we just talked about.
Debrief. The user feels nervous about their presentation to a large audience. They plan to manage their nerves by taking deep breaths and reminding themselves of their preparation. Actions. 1. Implement deep breathing and positive self-talk techniques during the presentation. 2. Practice confident body language to enhance feelings of self-assurance and credibility. Thanks for speaking with me today.
Okay, and then it's going to...
Sorry, I couldn't find anything
Oh, no.
to recommend for
Oh,
you at the
no.
moment. Sorry,
Live
I
demo.
couldn't find anything to recommend for you at the moment.
It's going to... When it works... Oh, hold on, I got to reconnect Spotify. I'm going to have to call Daniel Ek after this because something went wrong. Okay. Let's see if I can go back there. No, it's not going to work. But it would have recommended a song like Eye of the Tiger or Brave by Sarah Bareilles and started playing that on Spotify. So that's what happens when you do a live demo of an MVP that hasn't quite launched yet. Okay, so how did we get here? We actually tested out this concept just doing the AI coaching, none of the music, just using Google Forms and ChatGPT. And we had about 100 participants, and about 53% of them stayed on for a full 2-week cohort of this very cumbersome service. What was more encouraging was that 83% of the sessions had an uplift in mood before and after. And 21% of the people that we upsold on a subscription actually gave us real credit card information and started paying us, even after we refunded them in some cases. And so what was really interesting about this was what people were doing after these coaching sessions. So people would ask it to recommend some yoga videos that they could do or help them find a job that they later actually landed. And my favorite is somebody actually used it to get a device recommendation to help them not use their phone for the first 2 hours of the day, right? So really helping people feel better. So what we're ultimately going to be building is this platform that has coaching, context, and content. So right now, what you just saw, we're doing life coaching. We have certified coaches that we're working with to make sure that the actual conversational experience resembles what you would have with a life coach. We're doing talk and text conversations. So we're picking up on your context via what you say and what you type. And then we're recommending music, as you can see later, using your Spotify listening history. After that, we'll start to expand. So more kinds of coaching like mindfulness or spirituality or career coaching. We'll be able to take in other kinds of signals like nonverbal cues and biometrics and more kinds of content like videos, articles, podcasts, etc. Long term, this is actually going to be a platform where we can match you with real human coaches as well, should you be okay with that. And integrate with your communication apps and messaging and things like that, as well as bring you towards content such as IRL events and actual people matching and things like that. So for Gen Zers, the ones who are really craving authentic, meaningful social connection, right now, if you're going to do that, you're dealing with feelings. Maybe you meditate using Headspace, right? You might get therapy using BetterHelp if you can afford that, or if you're comfortable actually talking to a human therapist. You can get advice on social media or otherwise that you may or may not act on, you may or may not actually resonate with you. And so if you're going to, you want to connect easily, you want to alleviate those sort of mental and emotional hurdles of social connection, that's where Jammy is going to fill a gap for you. So we're planning on generating about $30 million in the next 4 years with freemium subscriptions, starting with about 20 million downloads. 4 million of those folks we hope to convert to paid subscribers, generating that 30 million in the next 4 years. So we are raising $1 million at the moment. We got some kind of early checks in last week, so about 30K so far. We're rolling out this MVP in private beta that you saw starting today, and we're going to use that money to grow to about 100,000 MAUs in the next 18-24 months. That's it for me, I think.
Do one question from the
Oh, are we? No, we're not. Yeah. Thank you so much, Eric. Really appreciate you joining us. So, great on time, too. Next up, we have Andrew from Glist. Thank you, Andrew. We're skipping Q&A so you can hear from more amazing founders, because why listen to investors when you can listen to founders?
All right, awesome. Thank you so much for hosting me. I'm Andrew. I'm one of the co-founders at Glist, and we're automating transportation planning for transportation planners using AI. So yeah, our transportation systems are broken globally and in the cities we love. There's over 1.2 million annual deaths on our roadways in America alone, 3 billion hours lost in America due to traffic caused by traffic congestion, and governments are spending 70% of their budget on engineering labor. So engineering firms who are contracting for governments, so paid by governments, are spending time and costs on expensive and legacy solutions. Current engineering processes take months. Data collection is a huge bottleneck at these engineering firms, and there's minimal real-time data on these platforms, leading to bad decision-making on our policy on these roadways and bad internal reporting at these organizations. And at Glist, we're automating high-value processes for engineering firms, from data collection, which on average takes up to 40 hours. And the way they collect it right now is literally going on these roadways, putting up cameras, and manually counting traffic counts and putting it into spreadsheets. That is one of the most common ways currently. After you collect that data, you go and manually try to optimize the project. So whether that's traffic signal optimization, capacity analysis, and so on, that on average takes up to 50 labor hours. And at Glist, leveraging reinforcement learning capabilities, we're able to do that instantly. And at Glist, we're unlocking the value of data in transportation. So we synthesize data from a variety of sources, from CV data, ECUs, GPS, and location data to create the most accurate source of data on our platform. And we're extremely versatile. We power many solutions, from traffic signal optimization, where you can analyze, monitor, and optimize entire signals across an entire region, state, or city, versus manually, where it takes months long to collect and actually optimize traffic signals. We also do capacity analysis to monitor real-time congestions and identify bottlenecks. We also do safety analysis to identify roadway safety risks, analyze crashes and accidents, intersection, and recommended measures. And as transportation is taking a growing share in government spend, I believe now is the right time to solve this issue, as it's destroying our cities and costing us lives. We can service $8.5 billion out of the $42 billion U.S. transportation management market size, which mainly consists of enterprises and engineering firms. So at Glist, our competitive edge is, since we don't rely on any hardware and we rely on software only, we're able to scale data 10 times faster and price 5 times less than our competitors. And we sell to engineering firms, consultants, and enterprises under a B2B software as a service and data as a service model. We charge $350 a month per seat, and our average contract value lies in around $10,000 for an engineering firm ranging from 10 to up to 25 planners. And as you see early signs of interest from individuals and firms, we've waitlisted over 90 plus planners from top tier firms, from Parson, WSP, and so on. And we're closing more and more contracts as we speak, with $5,000 closed and signed. I'm Andrew. I've been programming for nearly 5 years, working startups for 3. I was one of the first hires at Fronter, backed by Soma Capital and Jason Calacanis, and also one of the first and youngest infrastructure hires at Dimension, backed by Antler and Tom Preston Werner, building infrastructure solutions for open source maintainers and developer enterprise companies. And then the rest of the team combined has over 10 plus years selling and working in transportation tech. Anyways, I'm going to get to the demo, which is the best part of my pitch. All right. Perfect. Full screen. All right. So as a planner, you log in, you create a new project. So in this case, we're going to be adding a new lane to a pretty rough section in Toronto called Shooter Street. So you go, you search for the street, Shooter Street, you search it up, you add it. I'm going to pause here. And currently, you can see the configuration and data of the street. So we have 4 different approaches, so Shooter and Victoria Street. We have 2 lanes, and we can see a quick overview of current vehicle volumes and the minimum vehicle volumes by the hour, average car speed, and we predict the traffic conditions based off historical data here. So let me continue. So here, I'm going to add another lane to Shooter Street in Victoria. You create that prediction, and automatically you have the average car speed after this change, the predicted car stop time, the predicted car amount by the hour, and other different filters. So you can predict car amounts by the month, by year, and so on, and then how it affects the streets around it. So you can see the average car speed is around 4 miles per hour at Church Street, and then our AI automatically suggests whether you need to update another signal in a similar area. And then you and other planners at your firm can easily collaborate and understand how these changes affect your roadways. Anyways, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the pitch and the demo.
Thank you, Andrew. And thanks for giving back a few minutes, too. Helping us stay on time. All right, next up we have Gulin, who will be presenting her startup. It's called Rosette Health. Let's give a hand to Gulin.
Hi everyone, my name is Gülin Yılmaz. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Rosette Health. We are transforming healthcare via conversational scaffolding. So this whole thing started when I became the mother of this wonderful boy. And while you see us very happy here, it wasn't always a smooth transition. During the birth of my son, I felt pressured to have unnecessary medical interventions. And that impacted not only the outcomes for me, but also my own experience in transitioning into motherhood. That happened because my care team and I never really sat down and talked about my concerns, my values, my expectations. My doctor assumed I valued comfort a lot, when what I really valued was to be able to avoid medical interventions. You may be thinking, well, isn't this trivial? White privileged lady did not get listened to, baby alive, she's alive. But I'll tell you 3 reasons why it is not trivial: money, deaths, and health inequities. Ineffective communication between healthcare providers and patients is estimated to cost the US healthcare industry $238 billion a year, in the form of poor patient outcomes, high resource utilization, and malpractice lawsuits. 2,000 preventable deaths are directly linked to poor communication. And last but not least, there is a growing body of research, academic research, that links poor and ineffective communication to health inequities. The health inequities that I'm talking about are stuff like Black women dying at 2.6% higher rate than their white counterparts during childbirth, when we normalize for everything else, right? This is not about access, it's not about education or income. When we normalize the data, we still have health inequities. So this is not trivial, it's a systemic problem. We pay for it, you pay for it, I pay for it. So our solution is conversational scaffolding that aims at enhancing both the quality of the conversation that happens and also the reach of the conversation. It has 3 components: provider training, patient education, and real-time in-conversation support. Today, I will be demoing the first part, provider training, using a real-life and near-death event that was experienced by Serena Williams. For those of you who are not familiar with the story, Serena almost died after giving birth to her first baby because her nursing team was not listening to her. It wasn't about the OB, it wasn't about any particular person, it was the whole care team that wasn't listening. So now we're gonna see the Rosette Health provider training platform. I'm going to start this. So we will see the view from a nurse who is not great at communicating, and she's receiving effective communication training. She's been assigned to work on a case for a patient that is simulated by an AI agent. Her name is Harmony, and she is simulating Serena Williams. She's asking questions, so the yellow one is the AI bot. She's asking questions and communicating symptoms. And now you see the nurse, human nurse, answering those questions, or maybe more like dismissing and denying. We're not going to go through the entire conversation because it does take time. It's like 10 minutes. But what I would like to highlight is, as soon as the conversation is over, the trainee, in this case, this is a nurse, but it can be a doctor as well, will receive an evaluation, a holistic evaluation by the AI. It's across 10 dimensions that are customizable, but it includes things like clarity, empathy, listening, factuality. And then it also tells why a particular grade was given and what was missing. On top of this, we also have human-in-the-loop expert. In this case, it is a professor, and it is a real professor, Ellen Tilden of OHSU. She logged in. Now we see direct feedback for every single part of the conversation to the nurse. So now Ellen not only is teaching the nurse how to have effective communication and listening skills, but she's also automatically training our AI grader to act like Ellen. Actually, it takes only 100 conversations for our AI grader to be completely fine-tuned to how Ellen would act, reducing the load on her. As a result of these conversational simulations, the medical community, including nurses, clinical social workers, doctors, midwives, receive hands-on experience without having to practice on vulnerable populations. Let's see, this is the part where, oh, all right. So now, do health systems and teaching institutions care about this? The answer is yes. They invest in very expensive simulation centers if they have the means, right? If not, they hire human actors. They hire regular people to act, and then they train them to act like a patient, and then they observe the interaction, and then they grade it. And this is very expensive, time-consuming, and not scalable. Our business model is simple. We are targeting healthcare education and healthcare provider institutions on a subscription business model. And later on, we will be moving on to insurance companies, most likely on a per member per month basis. So now, this is the part where actually this handout is a little bit outdated. You may be wondering, is this for OB-GYNs and midwives only? And the answer is no. We started there, that's the description, but through hundreds of conversations, we validated that all medical verticals are interested in receiving this kind of education. So the initial market is super big, but I'm also even more excited about a $100 billion potential opportunity of actually building the engine that powers healthcare conversations. So far, we've been methodically de-risking our business. The users love our offering. We have a paying customer. We have an LOI from Oregon Health and Science University. We've proven scalability in 3 different verticals, and we filed for a patent for our technology. I strongly believe that we have the right team to go after this big vision. My expertise is in healthcare. I spent the last 3.5 years building value-based bundled payments. I negotiated contracts with hospitals. I wrote those contracts. I also managed clinicians. Prior to that, I spent 12 years in product leadership roles in Silicon Valley, including in companies such as Meta and PayPal. I got my MBA from Stanford Graduate School of Business and my Master of Science from Stanford Engineering School. Oz is my friend of 2 decades and now my co-founder and CTO, spent his entire career building large deep learning models. He has a CSEE and a PhD degree from Purdue. He was a director at Intel AI Lab. He led large teams at Amazon Alexa AI, and we have a full-time AI engineering team. We are supported by clinicians, go-to-market, and healthcare industry experts. Currently, we are heads down focused on converting the pipeline that we've built into paying customers, and we are joining StartX is Stanford's accelerator program, StartX Med Arm, starting next week. And we're not fundraising right now. We will be fundraising in Q4, but I am looking forward to connecting with like-minded investors and entrepreneurs. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. And now we have Chandler from Path. And then after this, we have our bathroom break, if you're keeping track.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Chandler Malone, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Path. We're here to help people build the lives that they want through their careers. Before launching Path, I built a company called Boot Up, a really large company in the alternative education space that helped people find the right alternative education programs for them, and then help them with job placement on the back end. We helped over 3,000 people get their first jobs in tech at companies like JP Morgan, Home Depot, Best Buy, Dell Technologies, Cerner, and quite a few others. My co-founder, Chris Gray, built a company called Scholly, which had one of the largest edtech exits ever to Sallie Mae last year. Scholly helped individuals find scholarships for college. Chris and I connected as I was looking to find scholarship opportunities for my constituents who were looking to get in alternative education programs. While there wasn't an opportunity for us to work together, the work that we did helped us to understand a number of industry trends. For example, college enrollment's been on the decline every single year for the past 15 years in a row, and 50% of Fortune 500 companies have gotten rid of their college degree requirements. Meanwhile, over 80% of, or almost 80% of individuals feel like they don't have the skills that they're looking for, and almost 80% of individuals are getting vetted out by applicant tracking systems. While this education to employment pipeline is shifting significantly, individuals still don't have the level of support to help them navigate this. If you look at the high school, if you look at the collegiate levels, there isn't adequate amount of career support and career advisors for individuals to be able to navigate this rapidly changing environment. And so for our solution, we've built an AI-powered skills trainer and career coach. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you all can see well. And instead of actually giving a conversation, I want to show you all a conversation that we actually had today with AmeriCorps, who runs things like Teach for America, Green Energy Corps, and a number of other entities. And so when we spoke with the AmeriCorps team, they basically just gave us some inputs as one of their constituents. And so this particular individual that they were giving us these inputs as was an 18-year-old in Raleigh, North Carolina, who has no clue what they want to do with their life. They're good at math and they like sports. And so as you can see here, right, the career coach isn't just saying, hey, here's what you should do. It's asking qualifying questions to understand more about the individual, what their goals are, what their background is, and what their interests are, to be able to give them some individualized feedback. Once folks make it through the career coach, to actually be able to go get an opportunity, you've got to be able to show that you've got a skill, or you've got to be able to pass some sort of credential. That's where our skills trainer comes in. With our skills trainer, you can create a curriculum, you can create a syllabus, a curriculum, and assessments around any subject that you'd like to learn about. So for example, I know a lot of us in here are familiar with Udemy. Udemy is a publicly traded company that's been around for 15 years. For individuals, they get access to 11,000 unique courses. Our skills trainer has been out for 12 weeks, and individuals have created over 3,000 unique courses, from GMAT prep to solar panel installation to leverage biomodeling. And so let's stick to the example of an individual who's 18 from Raleigh, North Carolina. He's understood that he wants to learn more about sports management, and so he can create a sports management course for himself here that presents the information in a written format, also presents the information in an audio format, and then also gives additional resources from vetted outside sources as well. And so as you can see here, right, we've got some YouTube videos, but they come from reputable sources such as TED, such as NYU, such as Southern New Hampshire University. Once an individual gains the skills that they need, though, that next step is to be able to go market themselves, right? And so we talked about how 80% of individuals get vetted out immediately by the applicant tracking system layer. I spoke about my previous company, Boot Up, and what we did there. So our resume tool is not trained by Google best practices. It's not trained by YouTube best practices, but it's been trained by resumes that have actually successfully made it through applicant tracking systems, and folks have matriculated and gotten jobs. And so here's just an example of a resume. If you can see here, I barely put any information in, and so it's very inadequate, right? I got a failing score, 50 out of 100. But if you look at the score breakdown and the specific areas that are being talked about, these are the main areas that applicant tracking systems are checking for and are concerned about. And so we're giving individuals specific individualized feedback that can help them get those tangible results. And then that last piece, right, once you get through, is to the actual interview piece. And so to help folks with the interview, we've created an interview prep tool, which we'll just wait for 1 second for it to load here. You can enter in your resume and then the job description and get 10 to 15 unique questions specific for the jobs that you're looking to apply for. And so I'll give just a really quick piece here. And so as you can see, here's some questions. I didn't really give it real answers. Not only did we give you a suggested answer, but we also give feedback on the answer that you give to help you be able to grow and be more successful in that process. And so our business model, we charge individuals $10 a month, $60 a year, or our largest go-to-market strategy, that B2B2C approach, we charge we charge groups $40 per seat per individual. And so, our growth from when we launched the product the last week of November, we grew almost 100% month over month in both users and in revenue from November to March. Growth from March to April was about flat. But we broke over $150,000 in monthly revenue this May, taking us past a 7-figure annualized run rate. And then with our cohort analysis, as you can see here, the majority of our users are coming into this annual model, right? And so, as we are, a company that's thinking about, going to a Series A eventually, right, being able to show these strong user retention metrics is very strong for our business. Wanted to talk a little bit more about the go-to-market strategy. So the majority of our customers are B2B2C. We work with a number of groups. So we work with high schools like Washington Leadership Academy that's backed by Emerson Collective. We work with Urban Strategies, a national nonprofit that's in 35 cities, helps individuals and families get into housing, provides wraparound services to help them get into jobs post getting into housing. And then we also worked with community colleges like Miami-Dade College. We really haven't leaned into our direct-to-consumer marketing approach yet. This is my co-founder Chris's bread and butter. This is how he built Scally to over 5.5 million users. We've been waiting to develop product and get it to a stronger point to do so. But we put out our first TikTok ads this week, and we're finding about a 2-to-1 CAC to LTV right now. With that being said, the product hasn't even been out for a year, and so we're very optimistic about those numbers. And then with our market opportunity here, we did a bottoms-up approach, right, where we multiplied the number of potential users by price point. But I think what I really want to just impress upon everyone here is when you think about what people need, right, people need a roof over their head, people need food and water. How do people get those things? They go learn skills and they make themselves valuable in the workforce. And so when you think about who the target market and target demographic is, literally every 16-year-old and over in the world is a target customer for us. And so, we see a very clear path by 2030 to building a billion-dollar company. And then, I talked about our team just from the business perspective. We've got Jonathan Dyer, who's been building out our engineering pieces. He spent time as an AI engineer at Tesla and BCG, also had background as a founder himself. And so for our fundraise, we actually just closed a small round 2 weeks ago. We're still open to talking to strategic angels who could provide value, introduce us to customers, and then also just help us as we're thinking about product roadmap going down the line. Thank you, everyone, so much.
We have 4 more amazing demos, and to kick it off is Paul Allen, the founder of Workplace AI. Let's give it up for Paul.
Thank you, Dorothy. I'm Paul Allen, and I'm 42 years older than Andrew. I'm 58. I have 8 kids and 5 grandkids, and it's fun to be an entrepreneur when the AI is taking over the world. I was an electronic publisher, CD-ROM publisher in 1990, and I have to admit I was so embarrassed to be a business person, an entrepreneur. Like, my mom was a school teacher, my dad was a professor, and I thought the only noble calling in life is to teach, because that's where you uplift people and you help people, grow. So I was super embarrassed. I started, after my undergrad in Russian, I started a company, and I was truly embarrassed to be a founder until my company made the Inc. 500, and I went to Philadelphia in May of 1996. And 500 of the fastest growing companies in the country were represented there, and they were the coolest people I had ever met in my life, because founders just have dreams and visions, and they hire people and they create value. So I've been proudly an entrepreneur since 1996. I started Ancestry.com in 1996. We incorporated it in 97. Within 3 years, we were on the verge of $1 billion IPO. I won't tell you the horror story of the bubble bursting in April of 2000. And all the preferred shares and all the venture capital board members and all the trauma that we went through. Some people say finders, keepers, founders, weepers. We didn't have the kind of exit that you would want. So I've been really, really hungry since that 2000 to take a company public. So I've been working on SOAR, an AI studio, for 6 years with the original lead engineer of Ancestry.com. He's the best coder in the world. He was the first engineer and built 30 applications that turned Ancestry.com into a successful company. 2 years later, we had 60 engineers. They were still using almost all of his systems. So he's the best coder I've ever known. I've worked with him in 7 startups for 31 years. So for 6 years, Richard Stauffer has been building the makings of an AI studio, and now I'm here to tell you about Workplace AI, which is our most promising enterprise application of all the AI systems that we've been building. So the problem we're trying to solve is that global workplace training is almost $400 billion a year spent on leadership training, management training, skills training of all kinds, and 75% of that training doesn't even improve performance. People are lazy, we're forgetful, we're bored by lots of training. So most of the training dollars in the globe for enterprise are wasted dollars. And Marshall Goldsmith, who's one of the greatest coaches of all time, executive coaches of all time, he says that the difference between training that works and training that doesn't work is if there's scheduled regular follow-up and feedback on the training. In other words, if you train people and don't have any follow-up plans or feedback on how they're implementing it, they change their behavior by nothing at all. But 88,000 leaders went through training, and when there's regular periodic follow-up, their behavior significantly improves. They become way better leaders, way better managers, way better salespeople. AI can now provide the feedback needed for any kind of workplace training where you want to have game film on how you showed up. Did I live up to the training? Did I do the methodology properly? Was my communication the way the experts taught me to do it? And so the way that the platform works is that any best-selling author, coach, or training company can hire us to build their AI feedback mechanism. Now, we layer it into an Otter or Grain-like assemblies, like AI note-taking apps. So we have a system called SourceScribe, and has thousands of users. It's growing by 20% month over month organically, no ad spend, no marketing yet. But it spreads from user to user because after every meeting, an email summary is sent out to every participant. But the people that are getting the AI feedback, it will score and grade you on any facet of training that you're trying to get better at. So think of this as a continuous human improvement platform that pairs with any kind of training. So the team is fantastic. Sid Tetro just recently finished as CEO of Brandless, where she grew it from a million in revenue to 100 million in 24 months. She's our COO. Clint Carlos is my co-founder, and he's helped us. His father's Filipino, so we've hired dozens of people in the Philippines to do all kinds of amazing work for us. And then Chris Higbee was one of my first product managers at Ancestry.com over 20 years ago. I mentioned already Richard Stoffer, who's the key to our success. And it's a tens of billions of dollars of market for conversational AI and natural language in the workplace to help people do more, get better. Of course, we're all afraid that AI is going to take all of our jobs, but what if AI can help us get so good at our job that we're irreplaceable? What if you can master any framework or model or perform at the highest level? And in every corporation, there's like top performers. Well, now you can analyze what are they doing differently? How are they showing up differently than the average performers? And then build an AI mechanism that will help everybody else level up and become as good as they are. So the coolest part is that the ecosystem is every best-selling author and training company is not going to go out and build their own enterprise AI system. So we've got people like Stephen M. R. Covey, we've got Whitney Johnson, Eric Ries, the author of Lean Startup. They're all hiring us to build their AI. How many of you work for a company that thinks it's a lean startup? And yet, you're probably skipping 90% of what Eric Ries talked about in the book Lean Startup. Now, Eric Ries's Lean Startup AI can watch all of your daily stand-up meetings, your product planning, your retrospectives, and help you actually say, stop cutting corners, don't be lazy. Here's how the proper methodology is to implement it correctly. And so we think by the end of this year, we'll have about 100 best-selling authors, coaches, and training companies. The best news, though, is that in addition to all the authors, coaches, and training companies telling everybody, go download SourceScribe and use our AI to get better faster, our strategic partner, we have a unique alliance with SHRM, the Society for Human Resource Management, the largest nonprofit in the world in the HR space. They are responsible for, they impact over 235 million workers around the world. And Johnny Taylor is a good friend of mine. He's the CEO of SHRM. He was on the board of Gallup, where I worked for 5 years. And Johnny wants to elevate the workplace experience for every employee in every company in the world. So by putting SHRM's name on our AI performance platform, making it a neutral playing field so that every trainer, author, and best-selling, every thought leader in the workspace can participate with SHRM in a revenue sharing arrangement. So it's an ecosystem where everybody wins. So we have an opportunity, I think, to grow the ARR into the tens of millions in the next few years, with Sherm Scribe coming out probably in August. And I'll do a quick demo now of the platform. If I can find my cursor. Okay, so like Otter or any other AI note-taking app, this has recorded over 1,500 of my meetings. Some of those meetings are investor pitches. Okay, so what would the AI do after an investor pitch? Well, angel investors are looking for different things than VCs. So if I do an angel investor pitch, the AI has been trained to know what angels look for. So just like you'll get the transcripts, you'll get the talk time, you'll get all that. But the insights module is where the magic happens. So the angels look for these 5 things. And I can actually go in and get granular feedback on how the AI is telling me I showed up in terms of talking about traction, team, etc. If I want to get angel feedback on the VC pitch, there's a different module, and they're looking for different things. Stephen M. R. Covey's leadership, his Trust and Inspired Leadership, he wants a free version of it so that every single workplace that uses Sherm Scribe will get Trust and Leadership scoring and grading after every call. And then he has a chance to actually get clients and customers and consulting. So it's an ecosystem to improve human performance with the help of AI feedback. We're raising $3 million out of 12. And yeah, that's it. I'm done.
Thank you so much, Paul. Next up, we have Abood from Odyssey. We're going to take a trip to outer space.
All right. Hello, everyone. Okay. So, yeah. Well, I'm the guy here today to tell you about space and how we're going to get AI all the way up to space. So now, as we all sit here in this room today, there are about 10,000 active satellites up in orbit, and those satellites are generating massive amounts of data. And all that data is being downlinked back down here to Earth. Now, one thing all those satellites have in common is that none of them actually have any compute capacity. Hence, we have to build massive infrastructure here on the ground to capture the data, to actually process it, and then to actually deploy it. At the same time, we're projected to have about 100,000 active satellites over the next decade or so, let alone building cities on Mars, on the moon, building moon bases, and we're going to want to have our orbital services operational once we get there. And, well, if we know the infrastructure is kind of pretty much hitting its capacity limitations at 10,000 active satellites, well, it probably doesn't make a lot of sense to go try to rebuild the same infrastructure all the way on the moon. So our proposal at our Odyssey is basically, what if we move the compute right next to the satellites? What if we have a constellation of space supercomputers operating right next to the satellites, where we handle all the data management, all the back end logistics, and only downlink the final data product, which ultimately ends up being a fraction of the data that's actually being downlinked today. Now, a space supercomputer is, as you can imagine, is a very complicated and difficult thing to build. So the framework of thinking that was deployed here was basically along the lines of, well, let's look at the system from a holistic point of view, and let's break it down to its basic components. And let's find the one, somewhat reverse engineer it, and find the one component that basically allows us to leverage existing satellites today and existing satellite data to address an immediate problem here on the ground in a relatively large market, and then ultimately scale that all the way up to orbit. And basically build sort of the brain of the system and have it teach us exactly what kind of hardware does it need to host. And that's kind of where we're operating today. That component came along the lines of basically extracting geospatial intelligence, specifically focused on supply chain and defense intelligence on areas that are geopolitically unstable, that are directly impacting major supply chain routes around the world. Think Yemen with the Red Sea Channel, think Venezuela with the Panama Canal, and others. Now, what can we do today with that satellite imaging? What you're looking at over there is an image of Yemen. Now, Yemen has had a lot of military activity going on in there, and a lot of geopolitical instability. Yemen also sits right next to the Red Sea, and the Red Sea moves around 12% of the world's supply chain, 12% of the world's goods and services, which is a pretty significant amount. Now, what we're able to do with our models is basically map out the entirety of Yemen and build out the entire supply chain of the weapons that are being smuggled into the country by identifying all the points of entry, distribution, points of launch, and focus on the areas that we've identified as the highest of interest with continuous monitoring. And as you can see here on the southeast coast, we were able to detect some of the boats that were used to smuggle in some of the weapons. We're over there, you can see some of the ship that was stolen through the piracy attacks. Over there, you can see some of the launch sites that were used to launch missiles and drone attacks over those ships. And over there, some of the ships that were used for the piracy activity over the Yemen. Now, why are we starting with supply chains? Why are supply chains important, especially in the world of Earth observation? Now, what took us to actually create this is an accumulation of a lot of climate data, a lot of defense data, a lot of agriculture data, a lot of urban development data. And what you saw there was the byproduct of a foundational model for Earth observation data mixed in with open source data, mixed in with some classified and internal data altogether. It's a slightly watered down version of what it actually is, but I'm happy to show you later on. But ultimately, our goal there is to, as I mentioned, scale that software layer as much as we can and have it teach us exactly what kind of hardware does it need to host it. And ultimately, that starting with supply chain as a foundation is the way to hit that scalability milestone. At the same time, that infrastructure that we are building that to support geospatial intelligence from orbit happens to be the same infrastructure that could be used to support the Starlink constellation, support the Astronis communication constellation, and support all the research being done in the ISS, let alone all the services that we're going to need on the Moon, Mars, and hopefully beyond. Now, you're probably wondering, who is this guy who's just standing there telling me about space supercomputers? Well, my background is started out in aerospace engineering with a lot of focus on satellites, and I've been coding for a long time. And then I built a couple of software companies, and then I was just last year at Facebook running their 13 global data centers with a lot of focus on reliability, automation at scale, and fixing a lot of inefficiencies all throughout. And I guess I'll just keep it short and sweet. Thank you.
Okay, after that trip to space, we're coming back down to Earth, and we're talking about B2B sales. Ching Chen is the founder of Deep Leads. Thank you, Ching Chen.
Oh, there it is. All right. It's still loading. Looks like we have some Wi-Fi troubles, maybe. Might just be slow. All right, great. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ching Chen, and we're here to make B2B sales easy. So let me first introduce myself. I used to be a competitive machine learning practitioner. I've won multiple machine learning competitions. I also started a startup where we actually applied AI and built a debt collection startup, which was acquired last year for about $60 million. And finally, I was previously a professor of AI and business at the University of Hong Kong. My co-founder, Professor Stefano Erman, he is currently still a professor at Stanford, and he actually co-invented the diffusion model, so the ones that generate the images that everyone are playing with these days. He was basically the founder of that model, and he's an academic star with over 40,000 citations over the past few years. So over the past 10 years or so, I've actually been very closely involved with 8 different B2B startups. And what I realized was B2B sales is actually very, very, very difficult, and is actually essential for most startups to survive. But it might seem simple, and it's actually very complicated, right? All you have to do is find the right prospect, have the right champion, and be there at the right time. Turns out it's very, very difficult when there's millions and millions of companies that you can potentially go after. However, what we were thinking is, imagine if there was an AI that can just find the best strategy that's personalized for every single company. right? Imagine you're running a B2B startup, and there was an AI that just tells you, okay, these are the 10,000 companies that you should go after because they're actually in the market for your product. So the way we're going to build this AI is we're going to start with what we call a business knowledge graph. And the knowledge graph is going to be powered by all kinds of available data, such as news, company websites, job postings, LinkedIn profiles, and so on. And then with this business knowledge graph, we can then train a business foundation model. Now, this will differ from a general purpose foundation model because the way to train a model to understand business is not the same way to train a model to talk to humans. And what we expect is that from this business foundation model, it will then power a number of insights that will help you do B2B sales, but maybe in the long term, there can be other business applications as well. So, for example, if you tell ChatGPT, hey, my company is so-and-so, here's my website, can you find me some customers? Well, ChatGPT can't really do that, right? General purpose LLMs are trained to talk like humans. They're not really trained to understand business. They don't have granular information about relationships. They're not adept at reasoning, and they actually often hallucinate. However, with deep leads, if you ask the same question, what you're going to get is an actual tailored list of high-quality prospects, and you're going to get insights on why they're high-quality prospects. So here, in the screenshot here, you actually get about 5,000 leads, but I mean, we're going to score every company that's out there, so you could expand that to 50,000, 100,000 if it makes sense, and then you get unique key insights as you start to ask questions to the AI model. So the business value that we deliver is really about trading off, we're solving the problem of trading off quality and quantity of leads. So if you're doing B2B sales, typically you're going to get a bunch of different strategies for getting leads. Now, on the one end of the spectrum, you have a strategy that can get you a large number of leads, but actually very low quality. On the other end of the spectrum, you can get very high quality leads, but they're actually not that many. And what we expect with deep leads is that you can get the best of both worlds. You will get the most high quality leads that can possibly be out there. So for example, we worked with a design partner, and they're a carbon credit marketplace. What we did with them is literally, we ran our AI on their company, and the AI returned about 1,100 leads in a matter of seconds. And what we found for them was 378 vetted leads. So actually, in this case, the design partner went through each of them and actually looked at it and say, hey, is this a vetted lead or not? They went through all 1,100, and they discovered that, hey, out of them, 378 are vetted leads, and they're actually working on those leads right now for their own sales. So let me show you guys a demo. I have the recorded version, as it's a little difficult to do this live right now. So I'm also running this on 2x speed. But basically, the way to get started is you input some basic information. And what you need to input is your company's website, and preferably websites of a few existing customers or customers that you think are good examples. So in this case, Fellows.com is a debt collection company. And the example customers are like credit card providers, lenders, and a utilities company. So when you submit the basic information, we start by providing you with this table. And this table actually has a list of 5,000 companies. And we can see that they're all fairly relevant. They're in the financial sector. They're all based in the UK, which is because our debt collection company was based in the UK as well. And you get, in this case, number 41 is Plend, which actually turned out to be one of our actual customers. Now, the AI doesn't know that, right? But the AI does believe Plend is a suitable prospect for our company, Fellows. So now you can ask some questions. You can say, well, why is Starling Bank a good prospect? And we'll be able to provide you with insights. So in this case, what our AI detected is that based on one of Starling Bank's the first thing is that we see that Starling Bank is similar to Yonder. They're in the financial services, and therefore it could be suitable and beneficial for our company to go after them. But also, there's a press release where Starling Bank said, hey, they're launching a new brand, they're growing. If they're growing, there'll probably be more need for debt collection services. So now might be a good time to go after them as a customer. So now we can actually talk and ask, well, what about another company? Why is Cambridge Counties Bank a good prospect? And then our AI for them would detect a couple things. One is that Cambridge County's Bank is a B Corp corporation, which basically means they're like socially aware. And turns out for us, Fellows, which is our debt collection company, is also a B Corp pending corporation. So actually there's a great connection there with our kind of social awareness aspect. And also we see that there's a source that says they have actually been increasing their lending amounts in 2023. And again, therefore, that probably suggests they would need more debt collection services in the future as well. So it kind of makes them a very suitable candidate. So that is my demo. And that is also my pitch. We are going to start fundraising as of next week. Right now, we're fully bootstrapped. By the way, our AI model is actually just trained on a single consumer-grade GPU, so you can literally train it on this laptop right here. And we're basically looking for our first investments. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And last but certainly not least, we have Michelle from Capsule, who will round off the pitches.
Let's see. Uh-oh. There we go. Hello. Hi, everybody. I'm Michelle, co-founder and CEO of Capsule. And we're going to talk about shopping. So the first e-commerce site was launched in 1982. And to run with this theme of picture ages, that's post-Paul, pre-Andrew. But today, we still generally search for things we love in the same way. AI and Capsule is about to change all of that. So my co-founder, Kelsey, and I have 17 years of combined experience building directly at this unique intersection of AI, data, and consumer shopping. We met working at Stitch Fix, where we led the styling engineering team and owned a platform called Lynx, which was the styling platform used by 5,000 stylists across the United States to review algorithmic recommendations and ultimately decide what items were sent to our users. Then I went on to the Yes, which was a truly personalized AI-driven shopping platform where I led front end from conception through launch and built the taxonomies that powered our search. We did everything from basic searches like black dress to the earliest semantic searches like festival wear or night out in New York. The Yes was acquired by Pinterest after 4 years and spearheads their shopping today. Today, shopping is a hyper-fragmented experience. No surprise, we're getting visual inspirations across dozens of different mediums every day, and our options are siloed across a vast 26 million e-commerce sites, which is a staggering 3x increase just in the last 3 years from 9 million 3 years ago. But how we navigate this has pretty much stayed the same. So we use text queries, text keywords, and filters across these e-commerce sites and traditional search engines to hopefully find something that meets our expectations. But this often leaves users disappointed and results in failed searches. Google estimates that every year there's $2 trillion in abandoned product searches done in the United States alone. But this gap from inspiration to buy really can be closed with visual search. Here's Capsule. We're coining our first product, a sort of Shazam for shopping, and we're empowering our users to go from inspiration to buy in under a minute. Our app is, our experience is app only today, so we're gonna do kick it old school with a GIF demo for you. So users today can add their inspiration to an app really easily from their camera rolls. Oops. Uh-oh. Just kidding. Okay. Well, preview. Oh no. Okay, they immediately get back the most relevant shoppable products from every corner of the internet. If there are multiple fashion items in the photo, we tease those apart and make it really easy to tap between and edit complete looks real time within the app. When they find something they're interested in, they can click through. We show them everywhere that product is sold, whether it's new or used. We show the shipping and return policies of most of those sites, and we also show the price. If they're still not sure, they can scroll down and search additional similar styles across the internet. We've also implemented our first generative AI feature. It's a color feature. So instead of relying on Reformation making this particular dress in 10 different colors, we use models to recreate the dress, show the user what they would look like, and then return relevant results that look like the generated image. When they're ready to buy, they can click on the retail and they check out directly using whatever system that retailer has in place. So this frictionless search is powered by three sort of core technology stacks. So the first are our data crawlers. We don't rely on partnerships. Every night we scrape 20,000 sites, ingest that information, and normalize it to create our own product catalog. Over time, we'll scrape all 26 million e-commerce sites, ensuring our users get every relevant result from any corner of the web. We're also building fashion-trained AI. This goes far beyond what generic computer vision models do to really understand user intent and the nuances of attribution within fashion-specific items. This gives the users not only the exact matches, but the most relevant sort of ring around exact match of products online. We're also using diffusion models, so we'll have to talk to your buddy, to do the generative AI piece and allow users to augment and edit products real time. So I showed you color, but how you adjust for length and pattern, et cetera, real time within the app. We launched a private beta 6 months ago, and we're already seeing fantastic changes in shopping behavior. So 21% of our users in the app today are what we define as a super user. That means they're in the app at least 3 times a week and actively shopping and adding new images at least twice a week. We also have an incredible 50% D30 retention, which sits about 8x the e-commerce average. Uh-oh. Let's try this again. I swear it's a real slide. It's an important one too. Okay. Well, we'll see. I'll talk and maybe it will show up. What if I do it this way? Oh my gosh. Okay, here we go. Today, our models today are already giving users far better results than e-commerce search, visual search giants like Google and Pinterest. And we're doing that today by really focusing on what we internally call the last mile of image similarity. And this means that we go far beyond generic models to really understand user intent when shopping and attribution in fashion. And so this is a real screenshot added by a user today. As a human, you'd probably look at that and assume, yes, the core item is a crop top with the word Kentucky over it. But if you know colleges, you're like, oh, she goes to Kentucky, or a game, she's looking for something in that general area, swag, game attire, etc. If you add that photo to Google, Pinterest, and Capsule today, you actually get really different experiences. And what you see is that Pinterest and Google lack the understanding of sort of what the consumer is looking for outside of a blue crop top with white letters in that font style. And so Capsule returns not only the exact item from Calypso, but it also returns additional items that have the word Kentucky or UK. They get a boost. If you continue scrolling, you will see blue crop tops with white letters, but we understand that those are probably a less interesting match to the user than things that match her intent of going something for the Kentucky game. Scaling this type of visual search really wasn't possible until this last year. And there have been sort of 3 changes in technology that really unlock and create room for disruption in this space. The first is zero-shot segmentation models, which help us identify different pieces of an image. Next is clip models, and while out of the box, these models help us understand sort of what is in the photo. Out of the box, they don't hit the mark, but they do allow us to have a sort of easy way to build our fine-tuned models on top of them. And then also they allow for really quick and rapid experimentation with result sets. Lastly, and most importantly, is the sort of scalable vector database changes. The reality is to store and use the millions of data points that we use every night to power this experience would not have been possible. Would have been financially cost of millions of dollars, a month to do this. And now we can do it for a fraction of the cost. We've built Capsule on an entirely new AI infrastructure. So users add images to the app. We use technology to understand the most important parts of the item or of the photo. And then we use LLMs and our computer vision models to pull out the relevant attributions and create image similarity scores. Every night, as mentioned, we're crawling all of these sites, ingesting this data, and creating the essentially first sort of universal e-commerce data layer, which is a source of truth for what an item is and everywhere that it's available. On the monetization side, we have a patent pending for a new type of advertising, which is visual first. This means that brands and retailers no longer have to rely on old school keyword bidding to show up for their user. So with Capsule, instead they're bidding on image similarity and user relevance. So if I'm a retailer and I have this striped sweater in my catalog, before I would create this long list of keywords that I think are compelling and where I want to show up, like striped sweater, women's striped sweater. With Capsule, instead, they'll essentially turn a knob and say, I'd like to bid to appear if a user is considering something that is 90% similar to this item in my catalog. Maybe I'll go down to 50% similar if the user has already shopped my brand or a brand that's adjacent to me. This really changes the game on the consumer side. It gives them much more relevant ads and context, and it allows brands to reach their user at the best point of the journey. On go-to-market, we've focused on really connecting with our super users, and that so far has been Gen Z. They love Capsule. We've launched an internship at 2 colleges, San Diego State and Indiana University, and those internships have drove most of our growth today. Rather than incentivizing users, interns to sort of pay per referral, we've built a real community. These girls, they connect with us. They're getting an inside scoop on sort of what it's like to build a startup. And not only do they help us grow users, but they also collect product feedback and work with us, on roadmaps and building, connections with other like-minded professional women. We also know that CAC is a sort of rising issue in consumer, and to get around that and to really keep our eye on the ball, we're focusing on product-led virality. To do this, we're harnessing social media trends. The first way that we've done that is by capitalizing on a viral TikTok trend. I don't know if anyone's seen this, but really helping people find what's called their color season. And we've built a product that allows users to take a selfie, we spit back the color that will look the best on them, and then we recreate every product that they shop in that color. So it's the first sort of version of a real, true, aesthetically built for you virtual mall. Today, we've been hyper-focused on helping our consumers find the exact products that they're looking for. We're starting to expand to discovery. That means multimodal and a discovery feed. Within 2 years, we plan to own all of fashion. We'll stay hyper-focused on women's fashion specifically. After that, we'll be expanding to new verticals: men's, women's, kids, beauty, furniture. And what's really cool is this is already happening. Many of our users are adding beauty, furniture, men's today. So we're raising $2 million. We're actively just started a raise. What that looks like on the output side is 100,000 users, focusing on that college internship program, the product-led growth. It also will get us to our first 15,000 in recurring ad revenue, and it really double down on our technology stack, ensuring 90% image accuracy. What that looks like is sort of evolving those diffusion models and making sure that Capsule is the best image search on the planet. And that's it.
Thank you, everyone. Let's give our 8 pitches, all of our 8 founders who pitched, another round of applause. So the Nextwave team just snuck back. They're going to do some deliberation and decide on who the winner is. In the meantime, we have a couple of fun things to shout out. Would love to bring up our 2 honorable mention founders. If you can just come up here, and I'll just hand you the mic. If you can just give a couple of sentences. Like Dorothy and I said, this was incredibly competitive. We were really impressed with all the founders who joined. And so we wanted to just give a couple of people a shout out and the opportunity to tell you more about their companies. So these 2 founders were super impressive. So we wanted to give them the stage. There's also 30 more in the audience, so they all have the red tag, so make sure to talk to them too. Just tell us a couple sentences about you and your company.
Hi guys, I'm Zara. Quick raise of hands, has anyone ever or their partner tried reselling an item, a clothing item, furniture, whatever, online? Okay, amazing. Who gave up because it was too hard? Amazing. Not amazing, but that's what we're trying to fix. I've been in the secondhand space for a long time. My passion is the circular economy. I believe it's the future because there is enough that's in production, and it's our job as citizens, I believe, to reduce our footprint and make make the future better. So basically, we use computer vision to automate the identification, itemization, and listing of secondhand commerce to make the process frictionless. So we work with professional resellers, meaning they list at least 100 items per month online. And we help them, so they just take pictures of their items, we generate the listings, post it on different marketplaces, and help them increase their sales by about 20% right now is what we're seeing. And then we also license some of our machine learning models like measurements, price identification, damage identification to enterprises, so Goodwills, ThreadUps, the like, via an API. We are raising a 300K angel round. We have a couple of angel checks, but that's going to get us to 35K in MRR. We're currently at 15K, and we would love to connect with angels in the space. So thank you.
Thanks so much, Sarah. Could you hand it off to Arjun?
Hey, yeah, hi. I'm Arjun, co-founder of Pre.Dev. Essentially, what we built is a way to go from idea to MVP as quickly as you can. So it was born out of a dev shop that my co-founder ran, and basically he was fed up with the discovery phase and the planning phase that a client would go through, just understanding what their idea is, and then actually having to architect it out. So essentially, we started to build a multitude of fine-tuned agents to basically take an idea, extract it out, represent it in a graph-like format, and then basically start to recommend exactly the steps that are required to build that out. So we right now sell this to dev shops, venture studios, incubators, basically anyone that's doing anything 0 to 1. We're at 400K ARR now, but the future of what pre-dev is essentially going to be a critical tool to be embedded into product teams of all sizes. So essentially being able to reverse architect what the product is now, and then essentially having that as the base to scope out any new features, updates, all of that. Yeah.
Thanks so much.
I was asked by 3 people during the break in separate conversations, what's happening in AI in New York? And well, this is a lot of it, I think. Look, I mentioned earlier, I run this firm called Flybridge Capital. We've been backing deeply technical founders here in New York for a long time. Some of our largest, one of our largest, most successful investments is a company called MongoDB that many of you may use. We talked about vector databases a little bit. This company back in the day when they were hiring one of their earliest intern classes, they were deciding they were a database company in New York in 2008, 2009. And they were super worried that none of the smart interns would want to come to New York for the big next cloud company. And so they did a poll of all 50 people, and 50 out of 50 said, I don't want to go to San Francisco. And so they stayed in New York and they built the company here, and we were fortunate to be a part of that journey. And today it's a $30 billion company, and there's a little inside baseball. When my partners did that deal just before I joined, they wrote an investment memo, and one of the things is how big is the market. That's one of the things we think about in venture. We saw this in your feedback in the app. The memo, I think, stated something like the whole database market in like the year 2025 or something will be as big as $30 billion. So that's why we're backing this company. Turns out they were off, but in a good way. So we're very excited about what's happening with AI here. I think one of the biggest reasons is that in New York, it is basically home base to every major industry other than some of the biggest sort of cloud companies, and yet Google and many others have planted hundreds of thousands or now millions of square feet of real estate here and hundreds of thousands of employees, so it seems like it's coming in pretty fast. So we're going to keep investing here. Nextwave is a platform. Nextwave New York will invest in 15 to 20 companies a year. There's a team of 12 people from various companies who have backgrounds at Foursquare and Pinterest and OpenAI and Snowflake and you name it. And so a lot of really great expertise. So with that, we promised we would make an investment at the end of this. To be fair, I don't think we're going to wire the money right this second. There's probably a little bit of diligence we should do, but no, I think actually my CFO is here somewhere, I think still, and so he would be very happy if I don't just commit to wiring in like 5 minutes? Like, is that cool? We'll sign right here. But anyway, we wanted to announce the winner, and I want to first thank everybody who pitched here today and who applied. This is exciting, from space travel to a young, brilliant mind building transportation management software that's way above my head. It's pretty cool to see what's happening here. So I'm excited. I've lived here for 15 years, and I plan on continuing to raise my family here as soon as the 9-month-old sleeps. And
actually, before you announce who we're going to invest in, we did decide also that we want to follow up with a bunch more. Right? So it's not just one that we're very excited about. We love you all.
Yeah. We love you all, but there are favorites. No, there are. Let's be honest. We're all adults, okay? But we discussed it, and I think there's, we want to talk to a lot of the people that applied, not just all the people that come and pitch as well. So please, send us a note at Nextwave. You can reach out to any of us as partners. We'll find time to hear the pitch. But with that, we wanted to announce the winner, which was certainly not a product that speaks to me, because she only talked about the female shopper, and I like to buy clothes too, so I'm waiting till it works for me. But we wanted to congratulate Michelle from Capsule. You can come up and say something if you would like.
You can say something or wave.
You can just wave if you want. It's okay.
That's awesome. It was so. Thank you so much. That's so awesome. Men's is coming, although my husband says if Capsule doesn't work out, I'm never allowed to build another shopping app again. He's like, what about a financial management app? That sounds good. It was so fun to hear everything from all the other pitches and such a special event. So I just want to say thank you for hosting, not only on the fundraising side and the pitch side, but getting to meet other founders in the space as well. Really cool, and such a fun way to kick off Tech Week. So thank you guys.
Awesome. Thank you.